Hey guys, welcome back. So, today we're here talking about feminine rage, and Simone and I recorded this episode before things in the United States kind of like hit the fan, if you will. We've been in this like place of just like unrest and just like this hard place for a long time, but in the past few weeks we've really hit this like critical inflection point. And so I didn't feel right posting this episode without first coming here and just saying, like, feminine rage is something that it builds over time. And when you've spent so much time, you know, ignoring your truth, hiding self-expression, if you've spent so much time like hoping for change, wanting change, working towards change, and the change not happening, or you've been stuffing down your own self-expression or point of view, or just like who you are at your core, over time, like when you're not expressing yourself, when you're not expressing emotion, those things build up. And that's where this conversation becomes really relevant, because right now, especially, but always, all emotions are valid, and we have to be working with the emotions that we're feeling, because if we're not actively feeling the emotions, they're getting stuck in our body. And, assuming you're here because you believe in humanity and you believe that, brighter days can still be ahead of us if we lead with love. If you believe those things and you're not feeling anger and helplessness, any of those things right now, I think it's a really important reminder to give yourself space to feel those things, because as the book says, your body keeps the score. If you're not feeling the anger right now, your body is still experiencing it, and it's storing it, and it's storing it as like anxiety and depression. And, it can show up as pain, chronic pain, disease eventually. And so it's really, really important to find ways to work with the emotion right now. And Simone gives some really great ways to release pent-up emotion in our conversation. So thanks for being here. Today, we're talking about feminine rage. I'm so excited to share this conversation with you. Today, my conversation is with Simone Sylvester, and she works in the space of like the dark feminine and helping women reclaim the like deepest, most sacred parts of themselves. And on Substack at one point, I came across a note that she posted about feminine rage. And it's this idea that like, I think it comes with a lot of curiosity and interest, but also like, wait a minute, like that's not me. I don't carry that. But this conversation was so enlightening. It really like broke down the idea of feminine rage, like how it lives in each of us, why it lives in each of us, and how we can release it. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to this incredible conversation with Simone.
Thank you. First of all, thank you for asking me on here, and thank you for your interest. It's, I have to say, I didn't quite expect this feminine rage conversation to catapult so much. Like when I created Rage Pages, as I said at the beginning of the article, it was because I was in a situation in Grenada with my family, and I was having to actually manage this deep well of rage within me. And and that idea for Rage Pages just kept on coming in my head. It literally was screaming in my head. And I was like, okay, fine, I need to create this. And then it reminded me that I've always had Rage Pages. And my diary, my poor diary, which was so cute, it had like little sheets at the front and adorable, but the pen marks going through the pages, it went through like at least 4 pages deep where I couldn't hit anything, I couldn't scream out. So the poor diary felt the rage. And then I thought, wow, this has been something I've been dealing with for a while. Mm-hmm. And obviously when you go back to parent situations, you end up being transported back to that feeling and that time. And then I was like, I wonder how many other women have to stuff this down and deal with it. And bear in mind, like my work is in dark feminine. So it is about shadow work, the dark side of femininity that doesn't get spoken about because it's been shunned and we've been told to ignore it. So that was a thing that came up. And when I just put my last note, I put out, not last note, but the note that has done the most, what is got the most views, and it's like crazy at like 50,000 impressions. And
Yeah,
it's like,
it's wild.
yeah, and I just wrote it so offhand. And I was like, whoa, this is sitting in women. And I had a client yesterday who said that she stuffed her rage down for a breakup, her dad dying, then she went through another breakup, early menopause through the stress, and then she's got like pelvic issues from holding on to the stress, and she just had to let the rage out because her body literally couldn't take it anymore. And I'll keep having these conversations with women.
Yeah.
And one woman was going to get married, and she left the fiance basically at the altar, went to the jungle. I met her in Akamal because she was not too far from here. And she said she just screamed into the jungle for about 3 months.
Wow. Well, I mean, it does. I really do think that it lives in so many of us. And I think it's a topic that's like intriguing, but then it's like, there's a curiosity around it too, because we've been told to like stuff our rage and our feelings down for so long, that it's like, wait a minute, like, what does that mean? And like, does it live within me too, So,
and that permission as well. I'm finding like, there's a lot of women that have messaged me and said, thank you for giving me the words that I didn't realize this thing was sitting inside me. And thank you for the permission, which I was like, wow, that is very interesting. Because
interesting is a good word, right? Because like permission, it's so layered where it's like, we don't need permission. Like I don't need anybody's permission, but also but we wait for that like silent permission, right? So
okay, I want to pause for a minute really quickly and rewind. I am super curious about how you got to this space where, you're exploring feminine rage and, talking about the rage pages. What brought you here?
Okay, so I was a stylist. I've been in the fashion industry for many years. At this point, 16 years. And I love expression. I've always loved expression. I love clothes. I love style. I had a clothes shop in London for a while. I used to do festivals and events, and I used to work with music clients, commercial clients. And what I found with musicians even still as well, and with my in-store clients, were women were holding themselves back. Again, it was the permission thing, and it was sort of, am I allowed to do this? Is this okay? And I always used to source wildcard pieces, I call them, which was, they were all one-offs, and it was all statement pieces. I'm really not a fan of everyday wear, of just like boring things, to be fair.
Like a green sweater that's just like, blah, yeah.
I got a clown on my t-shirt.
Oh my gosh, you do have a clown on your t-shirt.
Right. So I personally just prefer loud, brash, ridiculous things. So that was what my shop was. So I found women were drawn to it, and then were like, oh yeah, but where do I wear it? And oh, I can't wear that. And oh, but you can, I can't. And if only. And I remember thinking, what is going on here? Like, so then I also did a bit of personal styling, which felt like therapy, because quite often the story was, oh, my husband bought this for me because he thinks I need ABC, or someone, got this as a gift for me but I don't like my arm and I don't like this. And I thought, wow, we're really tying ourselves up here as women, So I was in a 10-year relationship, and then that started to come to an end. And I felt like I wasn't expressing myself the way I wanted to. I had way more life to live, and I wasn't, and he didn't want to progress. And I was like, you know what? No, I'm going to set myself free. I think we should both set ourselves free, to be honest, and go and explore the other part of our lives. So inside of that, I then wanted to explore my own, what I call divine darkness, because there was things that probably, I say taboo, but there were things that I just wanted to explore. Like, there's parts I've wanted to, in my styling, I always had like kink and latex and fetish nods. So there were some things of that. I was like, I want to explore my sexuality a bit more. And, I want to explore things in myself that I'm not able to do here. And life's too short for me to just sit down with you for all this time. So no. So, but then also I found I had comments of partners saying, "Oh, you're too this and you're too that, and you just need to do this, and why don't you just listen to me, and why can't I get the last word in, and why can't I?" And I was like, "Well, I'm not just going to give it to you because you got dick. Do you know what I mean? Like, it say something useful."
Yes.
You know, I'm not just going to be quiet or make myself not tell you what I know is true, or I feel the fact we have a discussion because I'm a woman. You think I should just be quiet.
Mm-hmm.
So I then started to look into femininity and thinking, okay, maybe I should address some of these things. If I want to have another relationship, let's look into this femininity thing. Then I was like, I don't understand why everything has this like blanket tone and no one's allowed to have any real feeling. You're like, what is this? You know?
Yeah. So yeah, blanket. Oh, it's like that's a good analogy for it. It is. It's like this, like just like flatness.
Yeah. Muffling out any real sound, feeling, emotion. And I thought, you know what? I don't think this is for me. Like, this is not my femininity. And in that time, I was doing work with Kali, the Hindu goddess, and that was coming up to me, and I was starting to process some feelings. And I thought, you know, I think I was finding my own empowerment inside of that. And I think there is duality, and there is another side to femininity and women and people. And in finding my own empowerment, I just thought that other women needed to also find it in that. And I was in a lot of spiritual circles and groups and places around the world. And I just thought, wow, this is really just one dimension. It's so bloody boring.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I felt I had a message, and I sat down with a shaman somewhere, and he says things to me, and I was like, I knew it. I knew it wasn't just me being crazy. Like, part of this dark work is actually what I'm supposed to do. So that's how I ended up here.
Wow. Yeah, it's like this like slow waking up, but it's also like just I'm hearing you like spotting all of those little like themes as you're like interacting with women and seeing like why aren't we wearing the bold patterns? Why aren't we like sharing our feelings? And it is like there's just this like flatness, I feel like, that keeps us all sort of in these like pretty little boxes where you're like, if I step out of it, am I too much? Am I crazy? Am I
unlovable? Like, you know, is no one going to want me and all of this? And you just think, maybe that's okay. People have to rise up to you, like, rather than you go down to other people. Like, everyone should be rising up. I don't understand what's happening.
But we've been just taught, I think, to like fear creating discomfort in other people, fear our own discomfort. But like when we express emotion, it creates discomfort in someone else. And it's like, so we like recoil. So, okay. So when did you first start to like witness your own feminine rage?
Well, I would say I just recently wrote an article about my origin story, Divine Darkness, my origin story, which was when I was like 11 and there was an incident in my house and there was an unwanted person there who was there for far too long. And I ended up exploding, essentially. And I've never felt rage like that in my entire life, but didn't know what it was because I was a kid. So that was my first instance of not being able to manage the feelings that were welling up in me, I would say. But in terms of my own rage, it's interesting to say, I've kind of always had it. I grew up in a boisterous household. There's like 5 of us. I had brothers, cousins, that sort of thing. So I wasn't mollycoddled. So you had to stand up for yourself. And then I was never a small girl. I'm like the tallest in my class and this, that, and the other. So I was always aware of it. And then I knew when it got me into trouble a few times, I was also quite a tearaway. So I thought, okay, I think I need to get a lid on this, which I did to get into the fashion world and to like live a life. But then I went so much the other way, it made me ill and I got a tumor and I was like, okay, yeah. So I've kind of always had it there. I've had the beast, I call it, always there. But I've had to learn how to tame her and use her and that sort of thing.
That's so interesting. Like just the whole idea. I think I'm sort of the opposite where I just like blanketed everything down. You know, I was never taught to like emotional expression isn't something that like was familiar in my world. And so they're just like any sort of emotional expression was just like, yeah, uncomfortable, right? Uncomfortable. And so it's just like not something that we do. And that's like what's passed through the lineage. And so interestingly, for, you know, your experience is sort of the opposite, where you're like constantly sort of taming it. Like, you
Yeah.
know, yeah. And that's a hard thing too, because, you know, it's, yeah, where it's just constantly like self-monitoring. Like, how can I shape myself to fit
Yeah.
into other spaces, you know, which is
Yeah.
also not a healthy thing, right?
Right, exactly. Because you're dampening yourself. You are, you know. So,
Mm-hmm.
but also you have to be careful. Obviously, a fire not tended to is wild as well, you know. So,
Mm-hmm.
and it can cause a lot of damage. So
Mm.
then you have to. There's balance all the way around. But then I feel like my case is not as common as most women who do tend to just put themselves out and just don't say anything. So I feel like part of why I have this well of emotion in me is to help put it out in other women. You know, I'm like the little spark that will spark other women as we
Mm.
as we go along.
It's like a little igniter, sort of
Yeah.
like, let's like pull that out of you so you can. Well, okay. So then how do you describe, like, what is feminine rage?
Feminine rage to me is, I mean, the thing is, it's quite a few things, but
Mm-hmm.
generally, it's all the things. Feminine rage is your truth, essentially. Let's say this,
Okay.
actually. Because I would say, I find by the time you get to the point of rage, you've stuffed down so much of yourself and your truth and your opinions and your feelings that it just has to explode. So
Mm-hmm.
it's the injustices, it is the self-betrayal, the self-abandoning, you know, it's you just not being sovereign, which then ends up turning into rage.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because with that note I posted, I have a lot of people saying, well, it's women victimizing themselves and not being held accountable. And I just
Mm.
thank you, that face, because
Yeah.
I'm just like, what?
Like,
What are you
well, yeah,
talking about?
yeah, say it again, right? Like, women victimizing themselves, which is really just like, you know, from the people who don't understand the systems that have brought us to where we are today, where like a woman can't, you know, stand up for herself all the time because she hasn't been taught to. She's been taught, or if you look at like even just like the epigenetics of it and the
Right.
ancestral impact, right? Like it literally lives in the DNA of women and the
Thank
expression of our
you.
DNA.
Right. Right.
Right. It's not a choice that we're making to just like not stand up for ourselves or not self-advocate or not self-express. Like it is literally something that is living in our bodies.
Exactly. And I think my response to that particular person, I mean, immediately, first of all, I swore at them and I thought, okay, so I take it back. And then I said, you know what? Sit down and look at what you actually wrote here. Like, think about truly what you've just said. And I
Mm-hmm.
left it at that because I think if you don't have a moment to actually really check what you're saying, our conversation's over. There's just no point in it because it's ridiculous.
And you're okay. So you're the post. I want to read the post because I thought that it was so simple, but it was so good. It said, I don't know if you remember it off the top of your head, but it was like feminine rage is delayed
Most
self-trust.
most most feminine rage is self-betrayal, I
Oh
think it
yeah,
is.
wait, hold on. No, I'm
Yeah.
gonna find it. We can hold on. I restacked it too, so this should be way easier. But
And
I
it
do
comes
want to
up on
read it because
my phone
I,
every minute with the amount of
yeah.
people. Oh, most
Oh my
feminine
gosh,
rage
we're
is
back.
delayed self-respect.
Delayed self-respect. Okay, yeah. So most feminine rage is delayed self-respect. Okay, so really, and then what was the comment? Say the comment again.
That women find ways to victimize themselves
Okay.
and yeah, don't basically manage their emotions. Your post is the top example of that.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
Wow. And it's
Yeah.
like I don't think you can even engage with like people who have that perspective because I feel like there's so many people who are still just so conditioned by all of these things that we've been taught. And
Yeah.
it's really hard to like change your truth. Like, it's really hard to like get at your truth, maybe not change it, but it's hard to like peel back those layers to spot it. And I don't know if some of these, like some people are ever even like capable of seeing the
Yeah.
world from another's like perspective.
Yeah, yeah, I wonder that because that's why I said really sit down and think about what you said here. Like, just think about what you've written because it doesn't make any self-victim. You just think you've just written that and you haven't even thought about what I've said or anything. And if it was at least something that I could debate with, or I'm happy to have the conversation always. But when it's something like, oh well, you'd make yourself a victim and this is it, and then there was another comment about it sounding really narcissistic, and I just was like, okay.
And they're not your people, right? They are not the people that are here to learn the message, because it is like, I think the more people I talk to about this, I mean, even just a couple of the themes that you've named throughout it, like suppression of emotion, and it's like the impact that it has on your body, right? You mentioned health challenges that you had from suppressing emotion, I think, right? And I have the same thing. It, like, for me, it was a fibromyalgia diagnosis, and it's like when we're not feeling emotions, processing emotions, like they're still impacting our bodies. It's still it just lives in us then.
Exactly. They become dis-ease in the body. I always say that because they don't go anywhere. It just sits down and stagnates and then becomes a physical thing because we do need to process it. That's why I always say it's healthy emotion that, okay, you don't always need to react, but you do need to process it, even if it's just a self-reflection. And, hence why I have rage pages, for you to just be able to get it out and write it, scribble it, draw it, like anything you need to do, but you need to release it 100%.
Yeah. Okay. So I have more questions about that, but tell us about rage pages a little bit more. So, like, how are you using the idea of rage pages yourself? Like, how are you seeing them impact others who are starting to like use this idea, or how can it help others?
As I said before, I've always used rage pages. Writing has been my release since I was a kid. So anytime things really sit in my mind and I chew on it too much, I just have to write it out. So that's how I've always used rage pages and why I created it. So in women's comments and messages, if I find, currently it's a free download, so I just created it because I was like, I think everyone needs this, here you go, have it. And I've had amazing feedback of women being like, thank you so much, I have a space to be able to be free, and there's no judgment even on yourself, because you find, obviously we also judge ourselves for our emotions. So in rage pages, it's particularly, say like in morning pages where it's free writing in the morning, this is the same thing, but it is just suppressed emotion and anger. You just write it out and leave it. You burn it, rip it up, throw it away, never look at it again. But it's just a safe way to contain the fire.
Yeah, it's like the benefit you get from that, like stream of conscious journaling. Maybe for some people it's like through voice, however you tap into that like stream of conscious, like processing, just to release it. And I love the idea of burning it. It feels really like satisfying.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, I think the idea of rage can sound, if it's not something that people have worked with much, or the idea of it, like, I think it can sound scary. Like, I don't have that within me, right? Like, that sounds a little bit aggressive. Like, I'm, I don't experience rage, right? Because we've been taught
than that. Oh gosh, no.
Yeah. That's not me. That's not me.
Yeah.
But it sounds like what you're saying is really, like, for most of us, it's this like slow build, this like slow accumulation that, like, when we do suppress all of these things, like, look here. Okay, here's an example. I just posted this like story on my like Substack notes. I was checking out from the grocery store the other day, whatever day it was. And there's this kid, he's at the cash register. He's like a young teenager. And he's like trying to be really like jovial, and just like, you could tell he's really trying. And he asked this woman how her day is. And she's just like, it's okay. And he goes, okay, it has to be good. And I was like, oh, wow. Like, there's so much like wrong with that, but also like, he's just a kid, and he doesn't know any different, but like, what he's being taught and what he's expressing, and whether she believes it or not, it's hitting her nervous system, his words, where it's like, you like, we have to be optimistic. And if she's just okay, it's making him uncomfortable. And
Right.
it's all of those little like micro moments, I think, that build up.
Right. Especially as a woman, now it's like, oh no, actually I'm fab, it's fine. But if, to be honest, if that was a man that said, oh, I'm okay, like, okay, cool. Would you say that, or do you expect as a woman I have to please you and overperform? And but sometimes, it's just, I'm okay, I'm alive, I'm here, it's fine.
Yeah. And those, I think, sometimes are like the first steps that we can really take to like to start moving in that direction, is just like being honest with ourselves, right? Like, even if it is just that like raw moment of honesty where you're like, you know what, like, I'm not actually okay, and it's okay for me to just say that. Like, whether you say I'm just okay, or I've had better days, it's not a bad day, it's a total shit day, like whatever it is, like just starting to be honest with yourself, I think, is where we can start to like release it, even in those like, micro, like just those like moments of like small release, I think help us get to the point that we're not just like all bottled up.
Exactly, it really does. And that I've started in the rage pages, I also at the end have a thing called the dark meter, which is where you're checking in on where you are on things like that. So you're checking in on, how many no's have I said today? What's my boundaries? And if I was truthful with myself, how do I really feel? And, so you're just checking in with that, so it doesn't become so alien for you to sit in your shadow or darkness as part of your daily life. And that is something you just check in with, and like, what's my meter today? How much do I have to give? Or, so you're aware as you're moving through your daily life. And I think that's something everyone can probably do with, men and women, to be honest.
Yeah. I think that being willing to sit with our, both of, the light and the darkness, like being willing to see all. Yeah. I think that I think we've just been taught through various layers of, the systems that shape our cultures. And it's like, I don't know, there's just so many different layers that say like darkness is bad, shadow is evil. Like, we associate like, but really it's just like having a willingness to look within. And
exactly. And it permeates culture. I mean, when I started looking at his work and my Substack initial pieces, if you look at the language around light and dark, from fairy tales to stories to, if even in terms of color and racism, like how that is also portrayed, it's so integral to our being that you don't even, it just gets shut down. Anything to do with darkness is just shut down, where I feel like that's the true inner work to evolve in, because you can't just stay in the light and happy and not do the inner work, because it's festering in you, So to me, that's the missing piece in moving forward consciousness in ourselves, because you can't just stay in the light. It's just not feasible, as far as I can see.
It's like bypassy, right? Like, it's like you can't, not just like love and light and good vibes only. And like, we're just dismissing ourselves.
Exactly. And then when you're in certain circles, I mean, maybe the person I am, I can see people's darkness, but they're covering it up with light so much, and then it becomes wicked. It moves from just pure darkness, which is creation, and there's possibility inside of that. You can alchemize it and move it on, but if you just let it fester, that stagnates and does become evil, becomes something. I think it takes on a different form.
Yeah, I think so too. You have to be able to work with both. It's like you have to be able to and like backing up, like working with darkness, working with shadow. It's not like some big scary like mystical process. It's just I think, and you have to tell me what you think of it as, but like almost like when you feel those moments of like tension, restriction, resistance, blocked, like you feel like there is something that's blocking your path, blocking your vision, or like you start to feel the like beats of anxiety or something like wanting to come out, right? But it's that tension, it's that inner like dissonance happening. I feel like that's the moment you turn in, and when you start to explore the source of that, that's what leads you to like excavating those like dark corners.
Exactly. And that for me is where your true power lies, because you're really getting to the nitty gritty of things. So you're not always reacting from a trauma space, or you're able to, it's something very important, and be able to check your own shit, or being like, you know what, let me just take a step back and see, where am I the problem? Could I be the problem? And then live a lot more of like a real, so to speak, life, a true life.
It's like sourced from within. It's like authentic.
Exactly.
It's your own.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And no one can tell you don't have as much, you don't need outside validation, because you've already done it. You're like, okay, well, I know I can be a bit like this. I understand that about myself. Or you can say, no, because I know that about myself, I know this is not me, actually, because I've done the work,
Yeah. Actually, I was having a conversation with friends about like gift giving and teachers and stuff for like kids, and one friend always gives the gifts and the other friend never gives the gifts, and it's like both are rooted in some sort of like pressure story. And as I'm sitting here listening, I'm thinking like all of it comes back to like when we make decisions that are rooted in a reason that aligns with our why, then it makes sense. It's not like one person has to feel like they have to conform. It's it lives in those simple little decisions where it's like, well, I don't need to do what she's doing because like obviously something I'm doing is wrong. It's like your decision making in your life, I think it's so much easier because you just know like that's aligned, that's not, that's me, that's not, right? Like, and you can shed the things that aren't yours more quickly too.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's deprogramming, essentially. I think that's probably why it's been demonized, because then you become free. I'm massive on freedom, and you're a lot, you become free.
Yeah, with like programming being this like unspoken operating system that we're all sort of like running on. And when you're living by that rule book that you don't even realize is like there, you're just like all of your decision making is aligned with like what the rules say, not like your own rules.
Are they even your rules? Do you even care about this?
No, like, probably not.
Exactly. If you really had the time to sit down and think about it, you'll think, that's not really important to me, actually. I'm not really that bothered.
Yeah, I literally don't care. I know. Like, I just like, it's not something that I'm gonna, carry with me, because it's not worth, like, what's the cost when you carry all of that, all of the extra weight and all of the conditioning and all of the roles, you suppress the emotions. Like, what is the cost? What do you think the cost is?
Well, freedom. The cost is it's your sole purpose. It's what you're actually supposed to be here for. I believe everyone's soul came here to evolve for a reason, and because we're programmed with all these other layers, we're burying that purpose so deep that you don't get a chance to explore the reason why you're here. So
I think, and that's like, I think when you can connect with that, like, so for me, like before I got here, I was like, I knew I had this emptiness that lived within me. And I think I was just reaching out in any direction to sort of like fill that void. And to touch on like our earlier, the earlier parts of our conversation, as I look back, I'm like, the signs were so clear. Like my whole house was neutral and my wardrobe was black and white. And it was just like, not that those things aren't self-expression, but like, I was just like, there was no me anywhere, there was no me. And so I was just reaching out to fill the void. And what I did was I burnt myself out, because I just kept reaching for new things that I thought would fill the void. And then, I burnt out. And I think that,
I mean, that's what society teaches us, though. It's like they keep giving you, fill the void, fill it with this, fill it with that. Don't bother explore who you are. Like, don't be a creative, don't do this. Just have more things, just have it. So there's no chance for you to think, who actually am I? Do I even want these trainers? Do I want this car? Do I want this? And they make it so alien for you to not want it, that you then become the weirdo if you decide to explore your truth. Which is again part of the programming, but that's a whole different story.
But when you connect with that, like with that layer of purpose and clarity of like, this is like, this is the truth that I'm here to live. It is,
Yeah.
it's just like that. I feel like that like idea of like, I want more. Is it like selfish of me to want more? Like there's something missing. Like that hole just sort of is full. Like you're
Yeah.
alive and yeah.
And it's
Yes.
interesting you say
But
selfish as well, because it's a big thing with women. Is it selfish as a woman? I mean, I say it's self-full. Again, also, I didn't have any kids. I decided that's not something I wanted.
mhm,
I've been told that that's selfish of me. And, well, then what's your purpose and why are you here? And I think, well, actually, it would be selfish if I had kids that I didn't want because I'm meant to fulfill this role,
mhm,
So it's just, as long as you're self-full, like what makes you full inside of
mhm,
that. But there's this whole thing with women afraid to be selfish because,
mhm,
again, that's been demonized. And then that then does escalate to rage at some point because you've hidden yourself out of your own life and your own equation for so long.
mhm. You get to this
Goes.
place and you're like, who am I and how did I get here? And then you
Yeah.
realize that like the box you've just been like filling with everybody else's stuff
Yeah.
is ready to just like burst,
Exactly.
and that's the rage moment, right? That's
Yeah.
like that's where it comes out. So if you talk about like expression of rage, um and like, I don't know, even just like spotting the warning signs. Like, I think sometimes when you start to look in this direction and you start to peel back the layers and you start to explore what you've been suppressing, it can all sort of come out pretty quickly, right? Like, it's,
Yeah.
I don't know, it's like a floodgate. So, would you say that journaling is like the like journal like rage journaling? I'm picturing
Yeah.
your journal as a kid. Did you
Oh,
say there were
little
like little
journal. Yeah.
sheep on it with like the deep barks? But so would you say that that's like the healthiest expression of starting to like release some of those pent up feelings and things that we've stuffed down?
Actually, my outside of journaling, my next
Mm-hmm.
favorite way is movement, 100%. So if I have like dance therapy, which is basically, especially in Tulum, there's so much good music. So, and I love
Mm-hmm.
house music, I love electro music. So,
Mm-hmm.
I would take myself out Monday or Thursday or something, and I barely even talk to people, give eye contact. I just go to dance and move and release it through the music, and I sleep so well. So that really, really helps. And then if I'm
Mm-hmm.
at home and I need to release it straight away, um, I have what I call a rager playlist,
Mm-hmm.
and I put on a variety of tunes that either allow me to like rap intense lyrics for like 5-10 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
or like super loud music that I put on and just like move my body crazily to for however long. But it's physically getting it out of your body, like shaking and stamping
Mm-hmm.
and doing all of that, because it's a physical sensation that needs to be moved through. And sometimes, I mean, if I'm really in a moment and I can't help it, I would actually just scream out. So there's times when I just scream, and that makes me feel better.
Good. Yeah. I mean, we
Yeah,
should totally just normalize screaming, I think. Like, why
100%,
not? Right.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it is. It's funny. The movement thing, I think, it's, it's so powerful when you use it in that way. I do find that like when I can tell, like when I'm like, I like I do like hot power flow yoga. So very
Oh,
sweaty, very
nice.
like, and if I haven't been there in a certain amount of time and I'm like working through some stuff, I'm like, I really need to like get there. And then
Yeah,
those are the sessions I'll actually like cry through sometimes. It's just my
yeah,
body's just like, get all of this like
yeah,
out of
yeah.
you. But do you feel like like with dancing, I process through music too. So I have like my playlists are like based on the emotion that I'm like trying to process. Um,
Okay.
but do you find that like you have to do it intentionally? Like, do you have to sort of like set the intention, like, I'm going to go out dancing tonight because I need to release this? Or does it just happen naturally?
Personally, I set the intention.
Mm-hmm.
I very much believe in ritualizing life, though. So I
Mm-hmm.
feel like, everything once with intention, you're living a life of conscious magic and everything is for a reason. And so setting the intention of, I'm going to go, even like I'm going to go and enjoy myself and release these emotions because my body needs it. And then as
Mm-hmm.
soon as you get into the environment, you're already in a whole different mindset state. Your body feels different. You move differently. And then you listen to the way your body wants to move because you set the intention rather than just being there for the sake of it, and then your energy ends up leaking out, I find, you know. So
yeah, and absorbing other, you know, for me at least, like I absorb the energy in my environment a lot, and so I was curious. I think like I hadn't actually thought about that, but I think that for me, I would really need to like set an intention in order to like have that balance of like releasing what I need to release, but like also not allowing in what I don't like want.
Exactly. And especially because of the environment. Like if you go to something like ecstatic dance, that's conscious dancing, and like generally no one's talking on the dance floor anyway because it's not allowed, and no one's allowed in your space, and so you're able to really be in your process in ecstatic dance. When it's just you're going to a club and everyone, you know, some people might be really drunk, some people are high, you know, like then you have to set the intention because you have to bubble yourself, you know, and keep yourself inside your moment.
There's such a difference, I think, like especially from, you know, I think of my like younger years going out dancing. It's like that's a whole different meaning than I think
100%.
like, you know, if I were to go out dancing now. And I've been like seeing these headlines about like women only dance clubs, and
They're
I think
amazing.
that's like brilliant. Because have you been to one? I think
in London they had a couple of those, and it's just the vibe. And even there's a really, really fun one. It was like femmes, queers, and something else. And the freeness you had without thinking anyone's going to come up behind you and want to be talking any crap. No one wants your number. No one wants, you know, it's like, you know, the moment, the feelings you get in the girls' bathroom, but like that's the whole club.
Yeah. I know. And it's like, it's sad that that's like the point that we're at where like we need, you know, any like just like no men, sorry guys, but like no, because it's like I don't want to, you know, what happens when somebody approaches you for your number and you're like, I'm like, what? I'm married. Like I'm like, but then like the response is like, you know, like what? Like I've like offended you because I've embarrassed you or something. Right. But it's like those, even just those like microaggressions, like it just feels like it would be so freeing to just be able to go and move your body and release whatever it is that you're holding.
And dress however you want. You have to worry about any of that. You know, it's usually themed. The one in London was themed. So sometimes it would be like really hot and sexy, but it's you and your friends. It's incredible experience. I was like euphoric by the time I got home. The next day I felt amazing. Truly therapy. Dance therapy.
Wow. Yeah. Movement. Okay. So movement is really where it's at. You know, in central Pennsylvania where I live, I think my options are like athletic Zumba or line dancing. And so
line dancing, I'd love a bit of that. Oh, I'm here for line dancing. Boy.
I do think actually that would be really fun. But we don't have these awesome dance clubs that you talk about, but maybe if I can manifest this, you know, my summer in Tulum, I will find some fun dancing. We'll see.
Yeah, let me know. I can let you know what's going on. I'll put you into good WhatsApp groups, or you know.
Sounds amazing. Yeah. That sounds amazing. And maybe our journeys will align so we're there at the same time. That so fun.
That'll be cute.
Yes. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thank you for having me.
I've loved this conversation. It's been so enlightening because it is something that like, you know, I work in the space of like suppressed emotion all the time, but I don't think rage is talked about enough. And I don't think that I think that it just still feels like that's not mine. And so I'm just really glad to be able to like sort of destigmatize the word rage and like, if we could all just like normalize screaming, I think that would be really helpful.
Thank you. That should be normalize screaming. It's vital and necessary. 100%.
Oh, good. I love that. Awesome.
I hope you enjoyed that conversation as much as I did. We will see you back here on Conditioning to Consciousness next week.